Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Top 4 podcast presented to you this evening by Tigers World, where they have amateur boxing programs, adult training, private lessons. You can catch them Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Free private lessons. I'm just kidding. They're not free. On Saturday, Joe Morales, sorry, is the boxing coach. 813-679-1909. Located at 1007 6th Street Southeast, Winter Haven, Florida, 33880. Also brought to you by www.mymdtome.com. If you're sick, just look them up or give them a call. 844-696.mymd, which is 6963. If there's an emergency, though, please call 911. And again, tonight's podcast is being brought to you by those sponsors. And understand that all the views, everything, opinions, stuff we talk about are not those views of our sponsors or the show creators or broadcasters. They're strictly our own opinions. And let's get into it. Top four sides of the truth. And I have with me this evening Lizzie,
Hey.
Dila,
Hi, how are you?
and Sean.
Hello, hello, everybody.
And myself, I'm Brandon. So we're going to get rolling into this. Got a question for y'all for our top four pick this week. And it is your most memorable or favorite childhood memories. I need four of them. Go, Lizzie.
All right. So, growing up in the South, I would say, and when I say South, I mean Laurel, Mississippi. Shout out to Mississippi.
Woo woo.
Woo woo. Okay. Hey, Granny. Hey, aunties. Hey, cousins. Anyway, probably one of my top four would be spending time with my cousins. You know how like your parents was working or whatever they were doing, you got dropped off at your auntie's them house, your grandma's house. And all the kids segregated over there. So I would say that's my top one. Um, Another one would be playing outside, exploring the great Mississippi woods and things like that. Riding my bike, of course. Another one would be always feeling lighthearted. Like I had no care in the world growing up in the South. I know others might have their own opinions, but I had a time. Okay. And then last but not least, I would say picking plums, picking figs off our tree, muscadines, all that good stuff. So that is my top
What
four.
is a muscadine?
Well, a muscadine is like a grape. It's like a grape and a plum put together. It's very sweet. Loved it. They don't have them here, but yeah.
Yeah, we know because I don't know what a muscadine
I
is.
know. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Mm-mm. We know what loquats or kumquats are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what we used to pick off the trees. But Sheila, go ahead with your top four.
My top four is playing outside, hanging out with friends, and we used to get in trouble a lot. We used to get in trouble a lot, and
Rebel.
just just being us. Family gathering. That's my top four.
Okay. My
Sean, on you.
my top four childhood memories are number one, always spending time with my grandma. Anything with her, that was my top four memory. Traveling. I love traveling. Um, the excitement of getting packed to go to a new place, that was just so great. When we were younger, we got to go on adventures. We leave the house in the morning, don't come back till it's dark. You know, hit the corners, hit the blocks. And my fourth top childhood memory would be hanging with my mom. I like just bonding time with her.
Well, so as we get ready to get on in tonight's topic.
Brandon.
Oh, I forgot my top four. Why do y'all want to know so much about
The people want to know, not us.
me? So, top four. Hmm. I'm gonna have to say summertime as a kid was great, especially being right here in Winter Haven. There's a lot of different things that went on, but primarily Citrus Center Boys and Girls Club out there on Havendale. It was just boys club when I was of age. But going to well, I tried to go this weekend to Lithia Springs, but I didn't realize it got so popular. So it packs out very fast. But and going to the skating ring, shout out to y'all remember Skate Dimensions in the skating ring back here behind the Buick dealership. Forgot the name of it. But then going to Southwest to the pool and to the pool, a lot of fun times and memories made in that pool. So Boys Club was definitely one. I have to say another one is, being in the backyard with my granddaddy on Saturday mornings. Um, he worked for Tico for years as a mechanic, and just being back there with him working on 54 Chevrolet truck, the 76, 77 Mr. T van with the 350 in it. Some of y'all guys probably know about that. We had a 77 Trans Am, looked just like Smoking the Bandit with the T tops. And the F100, it was a 75, I believe, for F100 pickup truck. So just a lot of memories, great memories doing that with him in my childhood. Couldn't wait for Saturday morning to come. Jump on the lawnmower and go crash into the fence or something. Another childhood memory, being out in the streets. We had like different seasons in our neighborhood. We were able to play kickball this season, probably football this season. Just being in the middle of the road playing and hanging out the whole neighborhood, boys and girls. Everybody just came out after school playing, and it was a thing. And then I'm gonna have to say, my church, going to church on through the week too, on Bible study nights, being in the youth meeting, as well as on Sunday morning. Church was pretty awesome. Real good fun there. A lot of memories made, a lot of friendships made. So those memories was definitely great. Going to the national and state convention. So those memories was just great. So let's expound on some of the memories. One memory that all of us it seems to have in common is kind of being around family or playing with the other children of the neighborhoods and stuff. I would just want to ask a quick question, really quick, to you ladies. How growing up with those family members or friends, how do you think that shaped your adulthood?
I would say those adventures, they shaped a lot. We had to figure it out. We had to figure out how we gonna move, how we was gonna get money to eat, if we was gonna come back home to eat. If we come back home, we risk might not can't get back out the house, or a sibling might have to go. Listen, you had to have your plan together back in the day when you wanted to be a kid. Get up early and get out that house if you can. That was
I
the
agree.
best bet.
I agree with you on that. I remember we might go to this auntie house or this uncle house to get some money or be like, just stop by and we know they're gonna give us $5 or something. Yeah, we just going by the store. But like you said, you go back to the main house, you might risk. Nah, just it's too hot out there. You can't go back outside or stay in and out. And because you came back in, now you got to stay in and you stuck watching the Young and the Restless or something like that. So I know Victor almost all my life since I've probably known to be able to watch TV. So I think we all can agree with the Young and the Restless being on that TV. So those childhood memories was great, and so we're getting ready to cut out of here to a break. As we get ready to get on this break, I want you all to remember check out mymdtome.com and Tiger's World, our sponsors of tonight's show, and we're out. All right, and we're back. Again, I have Lizzie.
Yes, so I will be reading our education minutes for this week, which comes from the U.S. Bureau of Census, and it talks about 1,300 new step families are being formed every day. It also talks about over 50% of U.S. families are being remarried or recoupled. About 1 out of 2 marriages ends in divorce, unfortunately. 66% of those living together or remarried, they break up when children are involved. 80% of remarried 80% people, they usually remarry or they recouple partners with children that have careers. Okay. And then last but not least, 50% of the 60 million children under the age of 13 are currently living with one biological parent that and that parent's current partner. So kind of like step partner, step parent. And
Do
that,
stepdaddy.
yes,
Do stepdaddy.
that's
Do
our
stepdaddy. Do
educational
stepdaddy.
minutes for our topic.
Amazing.
Awesome. So, as you all just heard, the Educational Minute brought to you by Lizzie. Do biological parents set the tone for the step parents? And this discussion has kind of been a hot topic lately. I don't know if y'all seen the video on social media where the stepfather took the son for a haircut, and the real father came into the barbershop and basically snatched the little boy out the chair and was fussing at the step parent or the mama's boyfriend, whatever, about taking his son to the barbershop and got very irate, all that stuff, even called the lady and even wanted to fight the guy, the step parent, for taking the little boy to get the haircut. So, I think this is a very good topic here because there's definitely been some chatter going around about it lately. So, ladies, how y'all feel?
Well, I'll just start with me. Because I have a stepchild, I don't call her my stepchild. Child, she is my baby. You can't tell my heart anything different. I was raised that way, so let's start there. But coming into the relationship with my husband, knowing him having a child, I was like, okay, there needs to be some type of communication with the mother, of course. So honestly, I feel that me being a strong woman, I kind of helped set that tone to be able to communicate with the mother of his daughter. And that's how we started our relationship. It always came with communication. Now, there wasn't always happy times. There were times where there wasn't that communication. But in all, I allowed myself to set that standard to be able to communicate with the other parent. Um, yeah.
So would you say that the biological parent set that tone or the step parent yourself set that tone?
In my experience, I set the tone. I felt as though my husband's very quiet, laid back. He's just like, it is what it is, But I'm more straightforward, and I knew that I wanted to have a it was going to be long term that I had a relationship with him. At the time, he was not my husband. He was just someone I was dating. But I saw potentially him being my husband. So I brought it on myself to set the tone and say, hey, I want to be able to speak to the mother of your child. That way we can kind of see, how this is going to work. Um, Even with the care of the child, I had an involvement in all of that. I believe he moved out of the way, kind of let me have that, but never never hesitated to stop it or never was in the way of myself and her mother communicating.
It sounds like you have your situation was kind of easy breezy, and not to say probably more so ideal because things went pretty smooth. So, what about well, let me just say what I think. So on this topic, I would say I think that the biological parent has a lot as a woman. You were talking about a man,
Mm-hmm.
you being step, you're the woman, and the man being the biological. So as the on the flip side of that, as the woman with the biological child, I say that I set the tone for the man in the sense of letting him know that if you're here, then this is what we're going to be doing. And to allow him to step in as the father, because if not, then what are we doing? You know,
Yeah.
why, I'm not trying to play house, you
Hmm.
know. But, I talked about a lot of things as far as, when you come into my life, you don't come only into my life, you come into my child life if we're going to be on that level.
So to date you, I got to date your child.
Well,
In a
it,
sense.
no. If I'm just dating you, you're not going to meet my child.
Okay, to be with you, I got
If
to be
if
with your
we're
child.
if we have agreed that we're going to be in a long-term relationship, then yes. Now I need to start taking the steps to introduce my child to you in small doses to even see how he or she reacts to you, because how my child reacts to the step parent to me is important, because I know that kids can see and feel things probably more so than an adult sometimes because they're just pure.
What if she just don't want you with nobody? I
Well,
want you all to herself.
as the parent, we should be able to decipher if our child is just being away. But at the end of the day, that's not going to be an issue because I am the parent. My child doesn't make the decisions. I make the best decisions for my child. But I do consider her feelings, his or her feelings. And, ultimately it's just a what do I think is best thing in collaboration with the person I plan on being with. I don't think, me personally, I'm not going to just bring my child around anybody. So if I'm doing it, it's a person I feel like this is going to be long term, or the forever person.
So to marry you, I got to marry your daughter too, or your
If
son.
I marry you, I marry the family in a sense.
No,
In a sense,
mm-mm.
in the sense of I should respect your family.
I don't
I
respect them. Yeah,
I said in the sense that I should respect them, Brandon. We're
we
getting
gon'
off topic.
we gonna go to the funeral. I'm gonna sit on the other side. We sitting on the other side. We ain't even going to eat with them people.
The topic is, does the biological set the tone for the step? I believe the woman, whoever the biological party is in that situation, yes, I think they have a big piece in it, and vice versa. I agree with a lot what Lizzie said as being the step parent. Like, hey, my child is going to be here around you more so than probably your child, but not don't get it twisted. We can't forget about your child. We need to include him or her into everything that we're doing as well, because we want them to feel loved as well. I don't ever want the child to feel like, oh, once he got with this woman, I disappeared. Because I think a lot of times children can feel like that, and adults don't consider that.
And I would like to speak to that because I had my daughter, I met her, she was 3, but we got involved when she was 11. She's 21 now. So speaking to her now, she says to me, I, I never knew how important it was for us to communicate because it not only helped me be the woman I am, but also um learn how to be a good person to my mom.
Wow.
So that speaks volume of, and it just says a lot about who is around your child too, because I don't believe if I was a horrible person, she would feel those ways.
Right.
So it took also the biological parent, which is her dad, my husband, to say, you know what, I'm going to have this woman around my kid because I trust her. I know she's a good person.
Sheila, what you think on this topic?
Um, it's really important for both parents to set the tones in the family. Um, whether it's the mom or whether it's the dad, it has to be boundaries. It has to be discipline. They have to respect the rules. Um, First side, it has to be both ways.
So, what if um what if the stepchild, let's just say the stepchild, because it can go vice versa. The stepchild for the mom, the woman or the male, doesn't respect the step parent. Do you all feel like it is the biological parents if it's their responsibility to step in and correct their biological child, or do you feel like it's the step parent's responsibility to
Both.
talk to that child and say, hey, whatever, whatever, whatever.
I feel it's
It's
both.
both. I,
Or it maybe depends on the relationships that
mhm,
these people have.
yeah.
I don't even think it depends on relationship because at the end of the day, a child is a child, an adult is an adult. So regardless of how much you don't like said adult, whether that adult is involved with me, whether that adult is a authority figure at school, whether that's an adult in the grocery store, whatever the cause may be, how I have raised my children is you don't disrespect your elders. Period.
Adults, period. Yeah,
So
I
to
got
me, I don't care if it's a relationship, person I'm dealing with or nothing. This is an adult.
you.
So that's why I say it goes on both because I'm the type of adult too. I don't care if I don't know a kid. You're not gonna disrespect me
Hmm.
as an adult. And I don't that's in the grocery store for a random child, let alone someone I'm dating. And even just recently, it was a situation where I was dating someone and their child got a little flip at the mouth and I had to stop and say, hold on now. I ain't your friend at school. I ain't your friend out there on the playground you play with or whatever. You are gonna watch how you speak to me.
Did
And
you?
that's just me being not an authority figure in far as I'm dating your mom or being with your mom or I'm finna be your stepdaddy, any of that. That's just me as an adult. I'm gonna do that with any child.
What was the response of the biological parent when you set that standard?
Well, when because it was just me and that child at that time, so when I did explain to mom what happened, obviously she asked the child, who kind of got quiet because it's a younger child. They
Mhm.
ain't quite got to the mastering of lying yet. So she got quiet and she said, "Yeah, I know she did it because she does it to me." And at that point, it prompted the young lady getting a spanking for it because it's something that's been talked about, obviously. So that's what happened in that situation. But that's why I say it shouldn't even. So when it comes down to parents setting the tone, I do agree of that the biological parent, whether it's mother or father dealing with child that is in house, or it's the other parent, because this is what you'll run into as well. You have, say, dad has a kid, he get with this woman. This woman's now a part of this kid's life. Dad has set one tone, but when that kid go back over here to the other parent house, the other biological parent house, oh, you ain't got to listen to that lady. You ain't got to listen to your daddy new people. You ain't got to deal with them. Da 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 da. All this that the other, and they're thinking they're getting a pass because mom said this. Well, nah. When you come over here, this how this gonna go. So parents, the biological parent is the one to set that tone, but I'm gonna set the tone regardless.
So that was a good point you brought up. That was the next thing I was going to speak about. What do you do when the step parent is getting disrespect from the stepchild because of the biological mother or father saying exactly that you don't have to listen to that person, they're nothing to you, and the biological parent that you're dealing with doesn't put his or her foot down. So then where do we go from there?
I
Because
think
that's also a thing too.
I
All
think you need
parents,
to exit stage right
yeah,
or
all
stage left.
but all parents need to have that conversation anyway. All parents need to talk. Everybody that is involved in that child's life need to have a conversation of okay, how are we going to go forward with this? What is our standards?
What if that's not an option?
I
Some
think you're
some
setting
people
yourself
that's
up
not
for
an
disaster.
option.
Yeah, I just think you just need to exit. Nah,
I
because
think
of what you got going on with this child, this ain't gonna work.
that's why initially when you said Lizzie, when you said your opinion, how you feel about the topic, I said you had an ideal situation because a lot of times you
Yeah,
cannot get the man and the woman, the biological man or woman,
Mm-hmm.
to have that mature conversation with the
Mm-hmm.
person that the person is dating. And don't get me wrong, I definitely understand why sometimes we can't do that.
Yeah.
A lot of times it has a lot to do with how the man and or woman
Yeah.
treated the other biological parent, and that's just it's not an option. It's sad, but it's true.
well, it deals a lot, I think, with healing,
Yeah.
and back to some of the things we were talking about prior episodes with self evaluation and healing within oneself. Because when you're still most of the time, like you said, they're still feeling some type of way about how they were treated by that person. Uh-oh, Sheila got to go to timeout, y'all. Her phone went off during the podcast.
You are so terrible. Oh my gosh. Talk about putting people on blast. Anyway, sometimes we don't have time for all that. We don't have time to wait for people to self evaluate and this and that.
Oh, I agree. So that's why you need to exit stage right.
Let's just be honest. Sometimes people, some of these baby mothers and baby fathers, they do some
But can you
terrible
exit
things.
left or right if you have a child with that person and you have like a court ordered where you have the child this time and then they have the child the other time?
Well,
Every
you
time.
as the step parent
Yes.
need to exit stage left or right. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
as a parent, you can't. It's just what it is. And I tell people all the time, dealing with what I deal with on a daily basis. Hey, listen, you when you were laying down, they weren't all of this and all of that.
Yeah.
Now they all of this and all of that. But you chose to lay down with this person and you knew what was the possibility of it. In a lot of situations, don't get mad here now and say, oh, this, that, the other, blah, 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 blah. It's what it is. There's a kid here. Y'all gonna have to figure this thing out.
Okay.
It makes sense. It's back to our statistics because I believe one of them said that a lot of people break up or separate because of children.
Yeah.
Okay. Exit stage left sounds so easy, but there's different levels. So you're with the person and like that's the love of your life. You can't imagine be with anybody else. But let's just add step kids plus biological kids. So you have, outside kids and then you have kids you had together. Exiting stage left is not
Well, if we got
listed.
kids together, we should have been got past this stage of where we're sitting down talking with the other parent and all of that stuff there.
It doesn't always happen like that.
I get it. People typically skip steps and move around and we rush into things and things are how they are. But if we have kids together and then there's a step kid that comes into play where I have a kid from someone else or they have a kid from somewhere else, well, we probably should have sorted that out before we even had kids together and got to that point of having kids together.
Shoulda, coulda,
Because
woulda.
if I'm being a great dad, that child is in my life. So that child was in my life when we were in the dating phase. That child was in my life when we were in considering possibly being together. So you knew this child was going to be a child. And I've always said to myself, hey, if I have any stepchildren, and let's take away the stigma step and call them bonus children. I have any bonus children or anything, I'm not going to treat first off their child. So I believe I'm gonna treat every child just like mine, even when I'm not in a relationship with a person. If I see a little kid in the grocery store, if they're doing well, I'm gonna let them know they're doing well, just like I will mine. If they're doing bad, I'm gonna let them know they're doing bad, just like I will mine. But when it comes to the relationship piece of it, I mean, when you're taking on this person, and that's what I was meaning earlier. So if I marry you or I'm with you, I'm basically dating your child as well too, because this is a part of my everyday life, just like you are a part of my everyday life, and just like my biological children are a part of my everyday life. But you do have this. Don't talk to my child. Don't say nothing to my child. That's my child. That's not your child. You just worried about us. You worry about us. What you think about that?
Then we shouldn't be together.
Agreed.
Like we have to be able to set the tones. Um, I don't care whether we're
Well, a lot of biological parents will be like, "Don't say nothing to my child."
no, that's not how it works. I'm sorry. We
So,
gotta set that tone.
right.
It's not my child or your child. No, it's our
Our
child.
children. Yes.
And I think that should be the case. But again, like I say, a lot of them hit you with the "Don't say nothing to my child."
Okay. That is, and that goes men and women. That's just not a
Yeah,
woman
correct.
thing.
It's a no. That's why I say
Also, I
biological
feel like
parent.
I feel like if a woman is doing that, I'm gonna just say a woman. I feel like the man needs to be the man and say, then that's not gonna work. And I feel like a lot of times men don't do that. They will just, they'll just, I don't want to say the easy way, but in a sense, it's kind of like they're going the easy way out. Oh well, great, I can get the benefits, but she doesn't want me to put in all the work. You know. So, what about also when the woman or the man is saying, "Hey, you can discipline my child." You know, we're looking at the situation as our children, but they won't do it. They'll say things like, "Oh, I'm not trying to replace their mom or dad." What do you do in those situations? Or, how do y'all feel about those type of situations when the person is hesitant to? They're loving. They do the things that a parent would do for the children, but when it comes to discipline, they just personally don't feel comfortable. Is that an exit left situation as well?
No, we need to be a team player. It's a team player right there.
Right, but what we can't control people. We can't make them change. We can't
Hey,
make them see things. If you've said that time and time again, then what?
We're gonna have to come to an agreement, whether you like it or not.
Right, but
We're
we
gonna
can't
have
make anybody do anything. If you say, if I let's just say I'm the man and I'm with you, Sheila, and I say, I'll do whatever for your kids or whatever the case may be. But I don't feel comfortable disciplining them. And we've been together 3 years already.
but discipline comes in different ways.
yeah.
You
What kind
guys,
of
You can
discipline?
discipline different ways.
you can. But if they're
Verbally,
So
physically.
if they're not comfortable with the ways, any ways of discipline,
Mhm,
then I see that being an issue
it is an
because they're
issue.
gonna have to. They don't have to be that. Okay, let me spank you. They could be that discipliner that says, you know what, you're not going to the movies. You know what, you're not going to do this. You know what, you didn't do what you need to do at school, so I'm taking your game or your whatever is precious to you away.
What about the step parent who always says whatever your mom said, whatever your dad said?
They setting themselves up for to be disrespected.
I'm just throwing different scenarios out here. I've definitely seen a lot of these. I've experienced some of these. I grew up in a household where the man that was in the house wasn't my biological dad, but since my mother taught me to respect, she taught me respect, but also within myself, I made a decision that I want to respect older people no matter who they are. That didn't mean you wasn't gonna get that blunt truth. As a kid, oh my God,
Man, my stepdaddy
you was
whoop,
gonna get the blood raw. But it was always so respectful.
my stepdaddy whooped me just like he whooped his kids. All us, and we all did the same thing and got in trouble and played together. My stepbrother stayed over in Orlando, and there is a biological child, my little brother that we all shared together. But it's down to, again, I ain't necessarily one for whooping kids anyway. Like my children, because of my form of discipline, my children and other children that I've been a part of their life, they rather get a spanking from me because that's less painful than the tongue lashing and disappointment that I'm going to express and kind of hurting your feelings to let you understand how deeply disappointed I am that you would do such a thing. So it's kind of like, I get it. And people say don't, but I ain't gonna lie, I jack a kid up I don't know in the stove. So if they doing the wrong thing, so it's I'm hard to take for a lot of people, but it's what it is. And I feel we've gotten away from that, not just with parenting, but as a whole, as a community. And I'm sure it's come up in another later topic as well. Just the whole, my neighbors them could whoop my behind.
Mhm.
They see me out in public acting a fool. Hey, come here.
Times have
You know,
changed with
and
policies and procedures. They've changed.
and they have. But if a kid is really doing something as a person that I think if you don't stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. I might be a little less quickly to hit the child, but I may grab you up and be like, "Hey, man, chill out. You're doing the most. Chill out, please." And even down to, because disrespect is not an option, especially when it comes to our ladies, like understanding, even down to little boys, and they have little sisters. They siblings, and you know how siblings are. They don't really care. This is my sister. This is my brother. Whatever. Da 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 da. Nah, hold that door for your sister. You know, let your sister get in the vehicle first. Things of that nature, and that's to any young man I meet. So definitely, if there is a if there is a another kid involved as a step parent, I would definitely say it. But I ain't gonna lie, I probably don't allow for the biological parent to set the tone in the relationships I've been in. Because at the end of the day, like I said, I'm a male that is gonna require respect because I'm giving it. So even if their mom was very passive or something of that nature, I'm gonna this how this finna be. Either we finna get this together, I'm finna exit stage left. So that's how that goes. Um, but this step parent thing, it gets pretty deep. So let's go into physical discipline. Is it okay for the step parent to physically discipline that child?
I feel as though that needs to be communicated with that other biological parent.
Agreed.
It's so important.
I agree, but at one point, if I'm not there and my child happen to do something and I'm not there, hey, you have the permission. Long as you don't hurt my child, long as they don't come back with any bruises. And if my son decided to step out and then just do something so crazy that I'm not there, yes, you do have permission.
I would say I agree with Lizzie. We need that. Both biological parents need to have that agreement. Um, if you don't physically chastise your children, then don't do it to mine. That's what I would say on that. And I
That'll be
feel
crazy.
like we need to kind of have a. I don't know. I'm not a big physical punisher. I'm more of a like. I like to talk and communicate because when it comes down to the real world, most of the time, if you get in trouble, you go to court. It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of what did you do? What could you have done better? How do you plead your case? I kind of like to do it in that matter. So if physical punishment is what we need to come down to, I feel like we need to come down to that as a collective between me and the person that I'm with.
Well, let's because I do believe physical punishment is good up until a certain age.
Hmm.
Obviously, if we're dealing with older kids, ain't no point in that. Unless it's an older boy, he disrespected his mom or something like that. I might jack him up against the wall. But when it comes down to two, three, four, and they finna touch something they ain't got no business touching, are they allowed to
Um,
slap that hand away?
I can't speak on that because I wasn't going to bring anybody around my child at those crucial times. Me personally, I wasn't personally bringing my child around anybody until she could talk and tell me yes or no. Particularly because she's a girl, I need this young lady to be able to talk and tell me, you know, I need to be able to say, hey, do you feel comfortable around this man? Has anything inappropriate happened?
Yeah,
I need to be able
absolutely.
to have that type of conversation. Not that I'm assuming the person I'm with is doing it, but you just can never, you don't never know. I feel so. In that time, to answer the question, yes, I do agree. Physical is needed, but in those early stages, but I had that covered. So by the time I got with somebody, we're just talking. You don't really need to put your hands on her because I've already done that. Now I just need you. I don't feel like men need to do so much physical. Your voices carry your presence
Oh,
carries a certain level of weight.
some of them boys need to be jacked
Yeah,
in.
so
But
I
see,
have
that's
two
a
boys.
difference. Boys and girls is a difference.
Well, I don't think a male really should. And honestly, speaking from a point of having my daughters, I really haven't had to do much spanking on them as far as, like I said, they were smaller. Probably touching, well, my youngest, I remember she sprayed my cologne and did all kind of stuff, and she needed to understand, which the older two knew, the boy and girl knew not to touch nothing on daddy's dresser. She had no clue. So, she got a little pop on her butt about it. But when it comes to chastising my daughters, like my son, he'll still get these hands. He'll still get beat up. At this age, teenage years, I'm not going to chastise my daughters like I do my son. Um, but they do get taught to, and I do expect for their moms to handle that. Now, unfortunately, they don't have a constant step parent in their life to someone I married to say, okay, hey, if these girls are doing this or they get out of hand, you can spank them. but I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I mean,
But at 16, kids shouldn't be getting spankings anyway.
honestly, there's a lot of different things that come into disciplining children. I think you have to know who your child is.
Yes.
And you need to know what's going to trigger them to listen and what is going to make them feel like, oh my gosh, I don't need to make this decision again. I don't feel like a man needs to too much be physical with a young lady because we don't want her to think that if a man hits you that he loves you. So there's a lot of different aspects when you're dealing with a female child versus a male child, you know. So I mean, ultimately, I would say on this topic, the biological parent sets the tone to a great degree because at the end of the day, you have the upper hand. But the step parent does have to step in and say, if I'm going to be caring and doing certain things, then you need to incorporate how I want to raise children as well. And like Sheila said, we need to be a team and we need to come to an agreement. And I think the number one agreement that a lot of people don't do is they don't keep it between them as the parents. They will bicker and disagree in front of the children. And the children can see who they can slither up against to get their way.
Facts.
Number one thing, do not degrade the other parent, biological or step parent in front
Facts.
of the children. Privately, kids don't never really need to see you disagree unless it's a fun little debate.
Preach.
But as far as like full on, I said he couldn't do this or I said she couldn't do this. We do not need to do that in front of kids because now they see we have a weakness.
That's true.
Yes.
Jesus, nobody got an organ or a piano, something? What a collection play that. We ready to go.
Because they'll try to
She
play
just
you.
preached a sermon. What a collection play that.
Because I was one of those smart kids and I was peeping and I was observing. Okay, I know who to ask for what.
Of course, kids are very manipulative and know exactly who to ask for what.
Right.
I mean, but you know, yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
This is one thing that I had to do with the children of my father, of my child. Whenever my son will ask me something, he'll call me and be like, "Hey Sheila, this is what such and such said. Is it okay?" I'm like, "What do you think?" So we agree on whatever we decided on, and then I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." And he'll call back and be like, "Yeah, it's okay." So we kind of come into an agreement at the same time, whether I like it or not. We just make our decision right then. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, that's
You are.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, y'all came together to
Makes
make a
sense.
decision on what was going to be best for that child, and I think that it should be that way. But children know and use again. That's why we need to learn to heal, because children do use the fact that my mama hate my daddy and my daddy hate my mama again. So I know if I ask mama this, she gonna say no, but I tell my dad and my mama said no because I know my daddy just to get back at my mama gonna say, well, go ahead and do it,
You can feel that
and
way.
and,
Yeah.
and vice versa. It goes both ways. Kids pit parents against each other all the time. That's why you always kind of have to get a united front
Mhm.
in front of the kids, even though back to, like you said, you may disagree in private, but when it comes before the kids, it's a united front, whatever
Yep,
that
that's true.
decision may be. Because once they know they can't divide y'all, they will divide you.
Better believe
Yeah,
it.
like, hey, I don't gotta like you, but I'm gonna have to be cordial. When it comes to that children,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be cordial with you. And he ain't never gonna see like whether I like you or not. Mommy and daddy, we're fine. They good.
I'm here to say,
Yeah, but behind closed door,
sometimes
who
it
knows?
does not work like that.
No, I don't.
One
That thing be
one parent can be way more mature than the other, and they just will not
Look,
step
you
up to
just
the plate.
gotta you just gotta put your feelings to the side and think about the kids.
co-parent. Yeah.
It's all about the kids. A lot of times I've seen people put their emotions before the kids. And it's like it's a trauma for the kids too. Because the parents, it's like, hey, it's certain things you just like putting it in front. It's always about you. It's not about the kids. You make decision based on you and not for the kids. That's how I feel.
Absolutely. It has the common factor is the child and the child's well being.
Yes, that's supposed to be the number one factor.
So as we get ready to go on a break, I hope we edify some of y'all minds, and we'll get some viewpoints in there. And we are to break. Hello, everybody, and we're back with the Top Four podcast, where you get the four sides of the truth. And we are getting ready to close out this segment. And with us getting ready to close out this segment, we're going to share with y'all these last few minutes some things that we had. But first off, so you can get to know some of your podcast members better, this week we're going to talk about Sheila. Sheila is a Sheila is an esthetician, and for y'all that those of y'all that don't know what that is, if you play with your face and get all them things out of there like they do on TikTok that I see, he's trying to throw a book at me, y'all, because I'm being. But honestly, no. Go get your facial, get your beauty care, and your skin care on. Um, she's a grad student from LaSalle Tech Center, education class of 2022, and she is fully licensed specialist esthetician, offering a wide range of services from facials, body treatments. ES example of those body treatments are back and facial, and ooh, they got facials for you, but
Yes.
I did not know that y'all could get a vaginal facial.
Yes.
Oh man, I got some business for you. Cause they out here just looking any kind of way. But moving on, full body waxing and more for any skin type, dry, oily, acne, combination, and sensitive. Your beauty will enhance as you become more knowledgeable about your skin. She is huge on self development and always on the lookout for new services, such as cheerings, products, and techniques to provide the very best for all of her clients. Y'all book Sheila if you need to. You can find her at 1521 7th Street, Complex Suite C, Winter Haven, Florida, 33880. Y'all make sure y'all call Sheila because she going to get you right. Especially y'all ladies. Y'all like y'all single and stuff. Y'all got to make sure that thing looking good. But nonetheless,
Ooh,
all
Lord.
for wrapping up off of today's topic. We're going to finish with our last and final thoughts. Lizzie?
Well, I thought that we had a good, pretty run with this topic. Very interesting. I learned a lot about my co-host and fellow podcasters. Hopefully, you guys learned a lot or learned from our experiences or how we felt, and just want to thank you for listening.
Okay. For this topic, I have to say, I think there's so many more topics that go with this one. This was just scratching the surface. There's so much more that meets the eye. Um, but yeah, overall, I think we all pretty much have a similar opinion on this subject, and that ultimately we just need to do better when we are involving love and kids and all of those things. Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like we as adults, when dating people with children, definitely have to keep an open line of communication amongst each other. And really, all three adults in that situation should sit down and talk to one another about it. I get it; it's a lot, but hey, it works out. So, nonetheless, that's my feeling on it. Sheila, what's your thing? What's your take?
I feel like both parents have to set the rules. They have to set the tones, and be a team player.
I'm gonna just say that. Nia. Yes. It was this combined later this week. This combined we are later. You are on the phone.